Okay. There's Shane. There's Rainbow. I let her out of the kennel. We still have Red and Viridian to free from their kennel, but that was the kennel Rainbow was in, and I'm in the process of cleaning up. And when I've cleaned that up better, I'll try to open a second kennel. One of these two lucky boys will get a chance to interact with their older brother, Shane. So far, so good at the momento. Shane has learned to drink, which is absolutely wonderful. Very, very happy about that turn of events. I'm still committed to the idea of hand feeding him for the rest of his life. We'll see how that goes over time, but if that's what happens, then that's what's going to happen. But if he can figure out how to eat pureed food on his own, and we'll see about ground turkey in like meatball form in a bit, but seeing as he was just having trouble with the whole concept I started with puree and I smeared it on the top of his palate as close to his tongue and his hole as possible. It worked, and I just made sure to give him one bite, literal human, what I would take for a bite at a time. So make sure he gets it down. So there's a lot of learning how to use the tongue is a lot of what's going on with him right now, and there's a lot of confusion. He has these little bouts where he attacks the stitches or the empty space with his front paws, and of course I have to stop him immediately during those little bouts. And so of course he is also getting 100% attention until I can verify that he's done with that idea. The stitches are supposed to come out between 2 and 3 weeks. So Friday the 13th, June, Friday the 13th was his surgery day. I believe he is healing very quickly. There are no recurring signs of necrotic growth or cancerous growth. I'm happy about both of those facts. I just want to advocate, if you are being told by some clinic or other to go for radiation in a case where the tumor is localized, that's the key, localized and accessible, you should go for extraction over any kind of chemo or radiation, in my opinion, particularly if funds are an issue. They talked me into radiation because it was technically inexpensive, but I've been living on next to nothing since October 4th, back when I first had his growth removed from his gums. And had Horse Heaven Hills agreed to take out the canine tooth and the adjoining jaw, this probably wouldn't have grown back. And he probably would have most of his mouth. But because Horse Heaven Hills only removed the soft tissue and left the issue, which it started in his jawbone, I'm fairly certain of that. It started probably under that canine tooth on this side, under his jaw, in his jawbone, and it progressed from there. But when they cut it out, it was releasing all of its energy into building this darn growth, and I kind of wish that I had just left that rather than, and waited for a surgeon rather than people that could only deal with a soft tissue issue, as they were claiming. So so many things I wish I had done differently, but listening to my gut, because what I wanted was all of that cut out. It started out, his gums were pink, and he had a black spot on his gums. That's when I noticed that in the spring of 2024. So February region of 2024. So when I noticed he had a black spot on his gums, and it was absolutely just pigment. It was part of the flesh, but I didn't like it. It looked weird, and so I kept checking on it, and it kept getting bigger. Eventually, I started making calls to clinics about it, and eventually I got Horse Heaven Hills of all the clinics around to at least agree to take off the mass. And 4 months after that mass was removed, it had already become, it basically had nowhere else to go, so it started working inward on the jaw itself and all that area around it. I mean, among the first teeth to go were the teeth around that canine, and then eventually the canine itself was among the last big teeth to go because it was a big tooth. But he still had his right canine by the time surgery day came, but he had lost most of the adjoining smaller teeth around it and behind it, and all on the left side of his mouth. Most of those teeth were gone already. But anyway, he didn't have to put up with this. He didn't have to put up with 3 bouts of radiation therapy, which did nothing but aggravate it. It just got bigger after every treatment. Like treatment 1, it got smaller within, I'd say, 4 or 5 days of the treatment, and then it just started growing again, but it was slow. It was growing again. I'm like, okay, not great. She gets his second treatment. It doesn't even bother getting smaller the second time. It just kept growing. And by the third treatment, Dr. Sai was gaslighting me and just telling me, oh yeah, sometimes they shrink, and I'm sure they do statistically, and sometimes they don't have any effect. Well, his was a 0 effect. It had 0 helpful effect. It if anything, all it did was aggravate the growth of the necrosis, and then that's just it. After they took all my money, their fake politeness ended with my wallet ending. So they stopped being polite. They stopped giving a damn. They kept reciting the we're worried about his happiness. I can tell you right now, he is happier in this moment than he has been over the last 2 months. So this moment is a better moment than any of those moments in the last 2 months. So Shane didn't have to go through this. Shane went through this because of American capitalism, the greed of our medical system. I mean, the veterinary system is more reasonable by design. It has to be, because people generally don't go to this kind of trouble for their pets. Most people would have either had him euthanized or put a bullet in him, because those were the options I was being given by everyone in my circles. Euthanize him or put a bullet in him. And I went the extra mile to save my Shane, because it wasn't fair. He's dealing with a mouth cancer that has absolutely nothing to do with him. It was none of his fault that he got the cancer. And his life was just going downhill because of his jaw. And I'm like, okay, most of this dog is just fine. The jaw is the problem. The lower jaw is the problem. Cut the problem out. Happy dog. And here's the proof. I mean, he's still, this is day 3. No, it's Tuesday. So what, 4 days now from the surgery? And technically not even then, because he didn't go into surgery until late in that afternoon on the 13th. So yeah, not quite 4 days away from his surgery. But I can assure you, he's feeling better now. He's feeling better every day, which I also appreciate seeing. Absolute improvements. Like, I mean, by yesterday he was drinking water, which impressed me, and also makes my life so much easier. I went and bought a $3 some odd cent turkey baster at Walmart that it'll be useful for some other purposes, perhaps later in the medical field. I've got a lot of possible problems coming up. Who knows? We'll need a turkey baster water treatment. But at the moment, he's drinking for himself. Again, feeding is going to be a process. Speaking of which, I've got an Instant Pot going right now with everybody's meal in it. But I am in about $4,800 in debt right now. And if anybody is able and willing to help, I intend to post my Waggle. It's like a GoFundMe for dogs. Because the money that goes to the Waggle goes directly to the clinic that I named, and that was the clinic that fixed Shane. So Although I didn't get what I was exactly hoping for with the surgery. I got what I really wanted ultimately, and that's an alive dog that isn't in absolute agony. I know that healing at the moment is a little painful process. He has a painkiller mixed into his food, so that's been working out. I'm just happy that I have an alive dog. I wish he had more teeth. That's the beef I have with how things went, but he does not have as many teeth as I was expecting him to have. So they went a lot further than I thought they would. But I don't know. I wasn't in the operating room. I didn't see what they saw, so and they weren't exactly forthcoming about what they saw either. So I do have a written report that I suppose I need to reread, but in the initial reading of it, it literally tells me what they did, but like the end results, not any kind of in between. Just the literal, like, we cut this out. Okay, why? that'd be the one I need an answer to, is why. But they did what they did, and he's alive. And my life would be easier if he had 4 teeth instead of 2 teeth, is what I believe. I still haven't figured it out. I hear him grinding, so I know he's got at least 2 molars in that mouth left. Like literally 2. I was hoping for literally 4, because that would have made his life and my life easier. But I'm going to figure that out as time goes by and as he heals better, because I'm afraid to poke around in there and damage anything. I'm just letting the healing take place and trying, like, thankfully he's watering himself, because that was a struggle. And feeding him is not as much of a struggle. He lets me know when he's done eating. Easy as that. So if he's hungry, he goes towards these bags of food, and then I know that I need to pull out his special food, which is a puree of all the things that they really just should be eating. So, like, I could eat it, what I'm making for them. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you can help, please help. Thank you.